Hey guys, how's it going? It's Logan here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the AirPod Pro first gens versus the AirPod Pro second gens. So this will be a little review between the two products. When I was purchasing the AirPod Pro 2s, I was a little bit confused on what major benefits they provided over the AirPod Pro 1s. And I hope this video answers some of those questions for you during that process, because the information online isn't very clear. And of course, everyone's going to say, oh, the twos are better just because they're newer. And of course, that's probably going to be the general consensus of this review as well. But this will just kind of break down some of the features that you'll see between the case and the headphones themselves. And then just also a little bit of my personal experience between using both products. So the AirPod Pro first generation has the lightning connector cable, and that's part of the reason why I upgraded to the AirPod Pro 2. I recently got the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and that switched me from lightning to USB-C. And it was just a pain coming back from the gym and plugging in my AirPods to a completely different cable, having to pull that out of a drawer, then put it back in a drawer, because I'm not using that cable for anything else except for the AirPods. So, and I only have one charging block, so it's like, you're constantly fumbling between cables, and it's just like, it was a pain. So I figured it'd be better to just upgrade into the newer ecosystem with the USB-C on AirPod Pro 2. So that's not the main reason I upgraded, but it was definitely a large selling point to me. So, of course, that's a big difference on the case for the AirPod Pro second generation. So if you're coming from the first gen and you got a new iPhone, it'll be a big improvement for you. So if we look at the bottom of the case here, you'll actually notice there's a couple holes that weren't there on the first generation. Now what these are actually speakers. So if you have Find My iPhone turned on, you can track where your AirPod Pro second gen case is at all times. And if you lose that, you can actually play a sound through it, and it's really loud. I was going to try to demonstrate it on video, but I couldn't get it figured out. I'm recording on my new phone, and I tried to load it up on my old one, but it wasn't working on there. But it does work. I have tried it through the Find My on my new phone, and it is very loud, so it's pretty cool. Not a feature that I would really use too often. I've never lost my AirPod Pro first gen case. I'm always, pretty careful with where I place it when I'm using it. But in the situation where, you leave it somewhere and you're moving quick, or you're traveling and you need to know where something is, then it comes in handy. So that's a cool feature that they added. And yeah, that's about the main differences on the case. Other than that, you will see that you now have a carabiner hole here you can just string anything through there. It's like, you can put a string through there and tie a loop, and then you can attach it to your wrist. I don't have a string to show you that with. It's weird that they include this without including the part that you would tie onto it. Kind of seems like a half-assed thought, but yeah, still cool. I guess the metal look is a little bit cleaner than just plastic all around. On the back, you have your connecting button right here. It's a little bit more recessed than it is on the first gen, but no major differences. I guess a little bit of a size difference there too. But overall, the cases are fairly similar. It's the case that you know and love from the first generation, and the flip is very similar on the new case as it is on the old one. So the hinge feels a little bit more concrete. A little bit more well developed, and of course it looks cleaner. So I tried to clean up my first gens as much as I could. There's some scuffs in there that I don't know how those even got there. Maybe just from use, maybe just from snapping it closed like that. But they do not come off too easily. So I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but hopefully we don't get those on the new AirPod Pro second gens. But major things you'll notice, just open the case. It's pretty nice. The one thing I do want to call out on the AirPod Pro second gen is there seems to be a little bit of play on the lid, and if you listen closely, you can hear it click. And it's very, very minimal. It's nothing that's really going to affect the use too much, but it is something to note. And it's something that I did notice on the first gen when I first got it and kind of ignored it and forgot about it. But there's just a tiny bit of play back and forth. And I don't know why that is. It probably has something to do with the hinge. But yeah, this is a brand new case. It really shouldn't have that play at all. It should just be firm in place, if you ask me, but these are just nitpicking things. So if we pop these open, we actually pull one AirPod out from each device. We can compare them side by side. So we will compare the left with the left. We can leave that open. So if we take a look, on the left-hand side, we have we might zoom in here, take a look, okay? So if we look at the left AirPod Pro 2nd Gen, you can take a little bit closer look at what's going on. We have now a sensor in the center of the AirPod, which is interesting. And then we have a speaker up on top. And then of course your main driver speaker is located within the pod itself. And those are just fairly typical AirPod drivers. So if we look at the back here, of course you have this graded area here. I'm not too sure if that's a speaker as well. It kind of feels like one, but I don't think it is. I think it's more just for looks. And then on the bottom, we of course have our microphone and our controller for volume, noise cancellation, all those features. But if we take a look side by side next to the AirPod Pro 1st generation in my right hand, you'll notice that where there used to be a speaker in the center of the pod, it is just now a sensor. So they've taken that speaker and moved it up here. And they left the sensor in the center of the pod, but they've removed the sensor down at the bottom. So they moved this sensor to the center of the device, and then they moved the speaker that was located at the center. As you can see, there's no speaker there any longer. They moved that up to the top. Now this is very interesting. It kind of provides a different listening experience when you use each of these pods independently. And the listening experience isn't extremely different. I'll be completely honest. It's a little bit hard to tell, and I'm definitely I'm really into audio. I do a lot of music production, and I'm always listening to the fine details. It's a little bit hard to tell the difference between listening on each of these headphones. The major difference that I notice, and it probably has to do with the location of the speaker within the pod itself, rather than switching the speaker locations on the outside of the pod, is that the sound stage sounds a little bit further back than it normally would be on the AirPod Pro 2nd Gen. So the AirPod Pro 2nd Gens have a deeper sound stage, meaning that the sound stage is a little bit further back from your eardrum as opposed to the sound stage on the AirPod Pro 1st Gen. The AirPod Pro 1st Gen, it sounds like the driver is further forward within the pod itself. So within this section of the pod, as opposed to on the AirPod Pro 2nd Gen, it sounds like instead of being up here, the driver's a little bit further back, maybe even in the back, pushing forward, allowing for more space between the driver and your eardrum, which gives it a deeper, more fluid sound that kind of gets you those crisp highs and deep lows a little bit better than you'd expect on the AirPod Pro 1st Gens. Now for noise cancellation, the biggest thing is, I think that's what these speakers are actually for. This one right here on top, and this one right here on the 1st Gen is for noise cancellation. Noise cancellation on the 2nd Gens is far superior than over the noise cancellation on the 1st Gens. That's probably the first thing I noticed when throwing these second gens in is you literally can block out the entire world. It's a very cool feeling. It feels like you just pressurized yourself on an airplane. Like it's like, whoa, I can't hear anything. It's pretty cool, and it really gives you a unique listening experience because the less you hear from the outside world, the more you'll be able to hear within the music. And the AirPod Pro second gens definitely nailed that right down to a T. Now, as far as controls go on both pods, as you can see, both pods have these little touch controllers. I'll be really honest with you guys, I never used them when I had these AirPod Pro first gens for over 2 years. I never once used them, not even to tap to pause, none of that. Maybe I just wasn't in the loop on how to use them or what the proper function would be. The use case, I just didn't use it. And that's something I definitely want to change while using the AirPod Pro second gens. They definitely come with some new features, like the one feature that caught my attention was like nod to answer calls, or you can basically nod up and down to answer a call, which is cool. I don't know if that's easier than saying yes, answer the call. But still there's some new features that I want to start implementing more, and I definitely want to start using Siri a little bit, especially once the AI features come out. So I think I'll start programming these features to use a little bit more actively than I ever did with my Pro first gens. Another thing I want to notice is the audio quality on the microphone. Now, the audio quality on the microphone is vastly improved on the AirPod Pro second gens. I do think that the first gens worked well while I had them, but I think especially upgrading to a new phone, it was time to upgrade the microphone quality on my pods. It just didn't make sense to be using some old pods with a new phone. And that brings me to my next point. Using the AirPod Pro first generation with my iPhone 16 Pro Max was actually kind of a negative experience. And I say this because it almost sounds like the sound quality on my first gens was decreased or was negatively impacted by the new Bluetooth band that's found on the newer iPhone 16 Pro Max model. Now, if this is something you guys have gone through as well, drop a comment below. I'd love to talk about it because it took me by surprise. I didn't expect my audio quality or my user experience to be affected by getting a new phone and using an older product. But luckily, I solved that problem, got the AirPod Pro second gens. But it was an interesting situation to throw these first gen pods in with a newer device and then have a different listening experience than I had on my 11 Pro Max. I don't know, my only conclusion to why that would be because of a changed Bluetooth band, or I mean, your guess is as good as mine. These do not sound as good with my newer phone as they did with my older device. And I can't really tell you why. That's probably the main reason I upgraded between this and the AirPod Pro second gens. I was just kind of fed up with the fact that these didn't sound as good. So yeah, it was time for an upgrade. Overall, guys, the sound quality between these two are very similar. I'd say the number one thing that's really surprised me about the upgrade so far is the fluidity that the AirPod 2 Pros have. And when I say fluidity, I mean ease of use. So the ease of use when it comes to connecting these bad boys up to my computer, up to my iPhone, it just automatically knows what I want to listen to. So if I'm listening on my AirPod Pro 2s and I'm watching a YouTube video on my phone, and then I go on my computer, I say I lock my phone, finish watching the video on my phone, lock my phone, and then go on my computer and start playing music on it, it automatically switches from my iPhone to my MacBook, which is just incredible. It's just like completely fluid. I don't have to select anything. That's something I never experienced on the AirPod Pro first gens. And I know that's something that maybe is surprising. I guess what I'm trying to say is the feature was there. They had the right idea, like it would be connected to both, but it never really knew intelligently when I was trying to listen to one or the other. But now it kind of knows, it knows when I want to listen to something on my MacBook, and it knows when I want to listen to something on my iPhone, and it switches between these two devices seamlessly, which is just fascinating. I mean, it's coming from the AirPod Pro first gens where I never had that feature really nailed in working. I don't know if it was user error or it just didn't work as well as it does on the AirPod Pro second gens. Going back to sound quality, like I said, guys, sound quality is super important. Probably the biggest feature of these headphones. The sound quality is very similar between the two. It's what you came to know and love on the AirPod Pro first gens, upgraded and improved for the AirPod Pro second gens. Additionally, I think that, of course, you're going to get a little bit better dynamics on the newer generation. And, you know, you really, it comes down to how well you hear things and what you're looking for when you're listening to music. I noticed I've listened to a couple different types of music on these, and it's an incredible experience. I think a large part of the listening experience goes back to active noise cancellation, and the better noise cancellation you have, the better listening experience you're going to get. So that's what you're going to find within the AirPod Pro 2s. Now, I haven't been able to try out the hearing aid feature just yet. That is something I wanted to check out, mainly just because it's kind of a cool thing to know where your hearing levels are at. I'm not necessarily interested in using my AirPods as a hearing aid. I don't have hearing issues, but it'll be cool to gauge where my ears are at and see what I can do to improve my ear health moving forward. So I'm looking forward to that feature. That feature has not came out yet, but it will be available for all AirPod Pro second generations in the coming months. And I don't believe that feature will be coming to the AirPod Pro first gen. So overall, guys, I think the AirPod Pro second gens are a great buy. I will say I was a little bit disappointed with Apple's recent event where they didn't upgrade these to the third generation. I would have bought the day that I got, the day that I pre-ordered my iPhone 16 Pro Max, I would have pre-ordered Apple AirPod third generations if they came out, but they didn't. So kind of feel like we're in this weird period of like, there's an improvement in the technology, an improvement in the software, and of course these get software updates as well. So there's these major improvements that are happening behind the scenes that we can't really see, and maybe at this current time there wasn't a big enough reason for the pods themselves to be upgraded to the third generation. But I think it would have made me feel a little bit better as a consumer knowing that I'm getting the latest and greatest to have the third generation rather than the second gen, because these came out a full year ago. So it was a little bit difficult. I think that was mainly why I was on the rocks about the purchase. I was like, well, I just really want the third generations. Like, what am I, but we're in that state where the third gens aren't out yet, and they probably won't be out till next year, if not the year after. And there's always going to be more software updates pushed to these that keep them running at the highest levels. So I think these will be good for me for at least the next year, if not the next two. And I'm looking forward to upgrading to the third gens as soon as they're available. I'm basically sold on the Apple AirPod Pros. They're incredible headphones. I've never really been a fan of the AirPod regulars. They just, without this cushion tip, they're just uncomfortable, and they, especially for working out, they don't stay in your ears. And the active noise cancellation, while it might be improved to a really good level especially on the newest generation AirPod, I can't get with it, guys. I love the AirPod Pros. I think personally, if it was up to me, if I was running Apple, I would scrap every other AirPod line and just make these the defaults. But they're really that good. And I've tried a lot of great headphones. I come from a long line of Bose wireless earbuds, and you know, it's really a treat to be able to have top of the line audio quality provided from Apple, just because it works so well within their own ecosystem. And there's clearly a lot to say about how great these headphones are, and the experience behind them is just phenomenal. So if you're thinking about upgrading to the AirPod Pro 2nd Gens from the AirPod Pro 1st Gens, definitely recommend it. If you have a newer iPhone, it is a great choice. You're gonna just enjoy using USB-C, and then you're also gonna not run into any audio loss quality that you might experience through using an older headphone. So yeah, guys, that's my review breakdown between the AirPod Pro 2nd Gens and the AirPod Pro 1st Gens. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely drop a like, drop a comment, tell me what you guys think, tell me what AirPods you have and how they're working for you. Maybe even let me know what phone you're using so I have a better idea of the devices that you're connecting to on a regular basis, so we can, you know, bounce back and forth and see, you know, what quality differences we notice between these. And definitely subscribe. Let me know, you know, tune into the next video. I'm going to keep trying to jump in and offer, you know, my thoughts on different Apple products and different products that I use involving technology. So I love sharing these thoughts and breaking things down for you guys. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks again for watching. See you later.